Squishies, back again with another vlog. This is something. This is Ducktales, Season 1, Episodes 21 and 22, I think? Secret of Castle McDuck and Last Crash of the Sun Chaser. This was a really good pair of episodes, as Ducktales has tended to be. The first half, well, they made a really interesting pair, because the first one was very much about, themes of family and the family coming together to solve problems. And then Last Crash of the Sun Chaser was about tearing the family apart. So I think it actually works really well because it unites the family, but it noticeably, it being Secret of Castle McDuck, it noticeably does so in two separate camps. Scrooge and his father reconcile through a combination of the shared quest for the Templar treasure and the revelation that his father arranged for him to receive the dime, which, if I recall correctly, is from... It's either the Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck or the Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, supplement book. One of the two does have that story where, it's shown pretty much as shown in the episode that he essentially gave a dime to a friend of his to get his kid's business off the ground and inspire him to go to America where he might have a better shot. Because the McDuck family's fortunes declined precipitously over time after they were driven from the castle, which is a whole other story. Interesting, actually, that the ghost dog here is real, because if I remember correctly, in the old DuckTales, definitely in the old series, and I think in the Uncle Scrooge comics as well, I say definitely, but I mean I definitely think. I might be wrong. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that in the old show, and probably the comics, the ghost dog, devil dog, whatever you want to call it, was a hoax by the druids on whose land the castle had been built. Perhaps not, but I think that was how it was. So in the new series, apparently, the dog is real. And they're just not going to do the storyline about reclaiming the castle, or if they do, it'll be in a flashback to before Scrooge met the nephews. Kind of cool to do it as a Agent 22 case, but that seems unlikely. A little fanficky. Not that this show has shied away from fanficky premises before. But yeah, so those two reconcile. Meanwhile, the nephews split up over Dewey's lying to the other two, or keeping up a secret from them about searching for their mother. I really liked the way Louis reacted to it, because Louis is always this upbeat, positive, confident character. I mean, even though he's probably my least favorite in the nephews. He's kind of an asshole, but he is always very sure of himself, takes a very positive outlook in terms of being just very confident. And this kind of shatters him. He just very quietly says, this is not okay. And it's a depth of emotion that we've never seen from him before, and I really liked that. But they do eventually band together again, and I love the visual of the ghosts of Clan McDuck rising up behind them and helping them drive off the dog. That's very cool. But it is still in two distinct two distinct reconciliations, because at that point the family are all getting along basically. The only issues are Dewey keeping secret from the other two that he was searching for something connected to his mother, and Scrooge's conflict with his parents, particularly his father. His mother is kind of a non-entity in this episode, which is a little disappointing, especially since apparently we won't see them for 5 years, which it'd be awesome if the show is still running that long, but it doesn't seem likely that it would age the characters in real time to make that happen. 15-year-old nephews would be very different from 10-year-old nephews. But stranger things have happened. I just vlogged the finale of Adventure Time, and Finn aged 5 years over the course of that show. So you never know. But yeah, that's the first episode. The second episode, then, is where the family gets kind of torn apart. We get the revelation of what really happened with the spear of Selene, which is very well done. The dramatic scene on the wing is a little unearned, I feel, just in the sense that Dewey's behavior is insane. But then we get Scrooge, when Scrooge tells the story, it's pretty much consistent with kind of what we thought. The Spear of Selene is a moon rocket. She took it, piloted it. Scrooge made the call to help her rather than forcing her to come back down, even though it wasn't entirely ready or safe, and she was lost. And Donald blamed Scrooge for helping her instead of forcing her back, and we get the dissolution of their relationship, and then shortly after, the nephews hatch. Which is a great taking advantage of duck biology. The fact that they hatch from eggs means that their mother can disappear before they were born. I just hope they don't incorporate any other elements of duck biology, because most of duck reproduction is really disturbing and gross. Anyway, yeah. And then we get, after everyone leaves in a fury, actually before that, probably the worst thing Scrooge does in this whole episode, the moment at which he becomes completely unsympathetic. Because we can kind of see both sides of the family conflict up until the moment that Scrooge says to Webby, "This is a family discussion and you're not family." Fuck that. I get that he's lashing out angrily, but he's known Webby longer than he's known his grandnephews. She looks up to him. She hero worships him. That is a horrible thing for him to say to her. And Mrs. Beakley's reaction is completely justified. Yeah, that's the moment at which all sympathy for him is lost. But that's, in a sense, I think deliberate, because that means he's pushing away the audience as well as all the other characters. That this is how he deals with his horrible mistake, is by pushing everyone away so he doesn't have to face it. So he can just, or rather said, he can do nothing but face it, so he can brood on it forever. And we see that at the end of the episode, he has this second flashback to the part he didn't tell them. Because they accused him of, only caring about the money and not using the vast resources at his disposal, but he did. He did as much as he could. He created a fleet of ships. He depleted what looked like at least a third of his money bin, to the point that his buzzard accountants had to drag him out kicking and screaming. But he couldn't find her. So it's interesting that he didn't tell that part of the story, because he could have. But he didn't. Because I think he blames himself just as much as they blame him. And blaming him is a way that he can be punished. The way he wants to be, the way he feels he deserves to be. And that's why, at the end of the episode, that gorgeous line reading from David Tennant, I am happy, in his chair, regressed all the way back. Not just back to the beginning of the series, all the way back to Christmas on Bear Mountain, his first appearance ever. This mean old miserly duck slumped in a chair, hating the world. That's how Scrooge was introduced. That's who he was at the beginning. And that's what he's regressed back to. Not how he was introduced in this show. Just to make 100% sure I'm clear here, Christmas on Bear Mountains was the first comic story to feature him. It was his literal first appearance in anything ever. And he was, in fact, a villain for Donald early on, and that's what he's regressed back to, is his villain persona that he was originally. And that is a daring move for the show to make. So, just bravo on that. And it feels right. It makes emotional sense. So, yeah, really well done. I think that's about it. Don't forget to... thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Patreon for early access to vlogs, essays, Let's Plays, and more. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!